We live in a world shaped by unseen forces, forces that mold every aspect of our experience, from the mundane to the extraordinary. But what if there was one law, a secret law, that holds the key to understanding why your reality unfolds the way it does? Enter the mirror principle, a timeless truth hidden in plain sight that dictates how everything around you mirrors your inner world. This principle isn't just about reflections in the glass, nor is it confined to simple cause and effect. It is a profound cosmic law that connects your thoughts, emotions, and actions to the external world in ways far deeper than most realize. Imagine your life as a reflection in a vast cosmic mirror. What you see, experience, and attract is not random. It is a reflection of the energy and beliefs you project. This law is neither new nor ancient. It is always active, always present, waiting for you to recognize its power. In this video, we will dive deep into the mirror principle, shedding light on its mysteries and how it influences your every move. The concept may sound simple, but as you uncover its layers, you'll begin to see how it silently governs your relationships, success, health, and even your spiritual journey. It's not just about seeing the world differently. It's about understanding how the world is shaped by the vibrations and energy you carry within you. As you listen, prepare to open your mind to the reality-shaping power you've always had, but might not have fully recognized yet. Your inner world is about to become your greatest tool in mastering the reality you desire. So, are you ready to uncover the secret law that's been shaping your reality all along? Comment, "I am ready," give this video a thumbs up, and subscribe to become the 1% who consciously master the mirror principle to create a life by design, not by default. Make sure you listen till the end, because the last 2 chapters hold the most transformative truths. Chapter 1. The Inner Framework of Reality. Every life is constructed upon an invisible blueprint, one that isn't drawn with paper and ink, but silently shaped by the architecture of the mind. Just as a building must begin with a design, so too does reality begin with an internal structure made of mental frameworks. These structures are not emotional or energetic. They are composed of focused thought patterns, identities we adopt, and meanings we attach to life. Whether or not we realize it, we are constantly drafting this internal floor plan, and the world we live in follows that design with remarkable precision. There is no randomness in this process. The external world is shaped according to the layout we hold within. As thoughts repeat and accumulate over time, they begin to form solid structures in the mind. Walls, corridors, and foundations that don't simply vanish. These structures become law. Life no longer responds to new ideas that contradict these established blueprints unless the old designs are consciously revised. Like an architect who builds with concrete, our thoughts, once solidified, determine where doors can open and where walls remain sealed. If a person's internal structure insists on limitation, no amount of outward effort can expand beyond the limits of that architecture. The mind sets the frame, and life builds the walls accordingly. Our mental architecture is not abstract. It is mechanical. Attention acts as the beam that holds the ceiling up. Assumptions become the pillars that shape each room. Repeated thought patterns lock into place like steel supports. When we look out at life and see repetition, patterns, or a sense of being stuck, we are often standing inside a mental structure that was designed perhaps long ago, but remains unaltered. The structure may not have been consciously chosen, but it governs the space we move through nonetheless. Eventually, as inner clarity grows or external pressure demands transformation, parts of the old mental architecture begin to crack. False ceilings collapse. Walls of limitation built on outdated models fall away. This is not always gentle. When inner structures shift, external realities crumble to match the change. A job ends. A relationship dissolves. A routine loses meaning. These collapses are not signs of failure. They are the disassembly of mental designs that no longer fit. What breaks in the outside world has already unraveled inside, and the reflection merely follows suit. Yet in the rubble of what used to be, we begin to notice the imprints that shaped it all. Recurring challenges, repeating dynamics, even the way people respond to us. These are not random. They are footprints left by internal blueprints we may not have realized we drafted. Each pattern we experience is like a fingerprint from the structure within. It is not personal, it is architectural. Life is simply following the layout. When these imprints appear again and again, they are not problems to solve, but maps to read. They show us the shape of the inner house we live inside. And until we rebuild that house, life will keep mirroring its design, brick by brick, beam by beam. Chapter 2. The subconscious codes behind reality. Most of what shapes a person's reality doesn't come from deliberate thought or planning. It comes from silent instructions buried deep within the subconscious. These instructions operate like hidden software, quietly running beneath the surface, untouched by conscious desire or intention. While someone might consciously aim for one direction in life, their subconscious code may be steering everything in the opposite direction without them realizing it. This internal programming is not emotional or belief-based. It is functional, coded, and precise. It governs behaviors, choices, and responses through patterns that were established long ago and are often completely invisible to the waking mind. The subconscious stores data like a vast memory bank. Experiences from childhood, including small moments that seemed insignificant at the time, are logged and categorized. Events that involved emotional shock or trauma, even if forgotten, are given high priority within the subconscious system. These stored impressions don't stay locked away. They become hidden commands. The world outside bends to match the instructions held in these memory files, and as a result, many life circumstances seem to appear without logical cause. What looks like coincidence is often the activation of these stored data sets. They run the show quietly, creating patterns that seem to repeat themselves over and over. Another layer of this hidden code involves what could be called shadow data. Parts of the self that were pushed down, denied, or never given expression. These elements, though hidden, don't disappear. Instead, they appear outwardly in symbolic form, in people who irritate us, in situations that challenge us, or in recurring conflict that seems to come from nowhere. The subconscious has a way of projecting what we refuse to see in ourselves through the canvas of reality. These projections are not emotional reactions. They are silent mirror images of internal data that seeks acknowledgement through external form. This system is not random. It speaks in a symbolic language. Repeating numbers, strange dreams, recurring themes in relationships or locations. These are not meaningless events. They are part of a feedback loop designed to trigger awareness of unresolved material stored in the subconscious. For example, seeing the same type of person appear repeatedly in life may not be about personality or attraction. It may be a loop running to activate recognition of a past, embedded imprint. The mind uses these triggers to test whether the program is still active or ready to be deactivated. Some subconscious instructions go even deeper, forming what can be called subconscious contracts. These are internal agreements, often formed at a very early stage, or even carried forward from before this life. They act like locked files in the code, difficult to override, repeating the same results until the instruction is identified and removed. These contracts might control relationships, financial ceilings, or personal limitations, all without the person ever realizing it. Life responds to them with incredible precision, not because of what we think or feel, but because of what we once agreed to at a hidden level of mind that still holds authority over our daily experience. Chapter 3. The Echo Field of Personal Frequency. Each day, whether we're aware of it or not, we're emitting a signal, an energetic broadcast shaped by the combination of what we feel and what we think. This signal isn't loud like a sound, and it isn't visible like light, but it moves through space with the same natural laws as any other wave. This signal becomes the frequency that the outer world responds to. It's not enough to speak intentions or visualize goals if the internal frequency being broadcast doesn't match them. The universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to this steady, emotional, energetic tone. Every single moment you are radiating a specific vibration, and that frequency determines what echoes back into your reality. When the frequency you emit stays the same over time, life begins to loop. The same types of events repeat. Similar people show up. Circumstances may change in detail, but their emotional tone remains familiar. This isn't just coincidence, it's resonance. A stagnant frequency keeps attracting mirrored versions of itself. For example, if someone is carrying a vibration of lack, no matter how many opportunities appear, they will likely encounter some version of that lack again. Reality becomes like a room with perfect acoustics. Whatever you send into it, it sends back. Until the signal shifts, the response remains identical. This is why frequency often overrides intention. You might desire success, peace, or love on a conscious level, but if your inner energetic tone is laced with doubt, urgency, or fear, that's the signal being heard. What you hope for and what you vibrate are not the same. And in this field of response, frequency always speaks louder. Even well-defined plans or goals won't take root if the emotional signal underneath them contradicts the direction you want to go. It's not about effort, it's about alignment. Sometimes life seems chaotic or confusing, not because of a strong, clear signal, but because of mixed emissions. Emotional interference occurs when several conflicting vibrations are broadcast at once. You might feel excitement and fear, trust and resentment, hope and despair, all within the same subject. These mixed vibrations distort the signal, and reality responds in a scrambled way. It doesn't know which note to reflect, so it echoes back pieces of each. That's when outcomes appear unpredictable, or success feels unstable. The interference isn't coming from the world, it's coming from a tangled broadcast that lacks coherence. The space around you is not passive. It listens, it responds, and it mirrors. The field of experience, what you encounter, who you meet, the timing of events moves in direct relationship to the clarity and tone of your personal frequency. When the signal becomes clean, steady, and intentional, reality adjusts like a tuning fork, finding harmony. This field is not personal or judgmental. It simply returns the note it receives. In this way, your life becomes a perfect echo chamber. not of your desires, but of the energetic tone you consistently send out. Chapter 4. The Emotional Reality Generator. Emotions are not just inner experiences. They are active, magnetic forces shaping the very environment you live in. Each emotion you feel emits a kind of magnetic pull that draws in circumstances matching its nature. Joy attracts more ease and flow. Fear pulls intention and resistance. Anger finds reflections of conflict. These emotions are not passive or private. They ripple outward, influencing the kind of energy that surrounds you. Whether you speak them out loud or bury them deep inside, their magnetic pull remains, silently constructing the field of your reality. When a particular emotional state is repeated often enough, it begins to set a cycle into motion. A mood held for days or weeks doesn't just influence your personal perspective, it builds. It becomes a steady current, and over time, this current forms patterns. These patterns grow roots in the external world and show up as people, events, and repeating outcomes. A person who constantly lives in worry may not realize that worry has shaped the very foundation of their experience. It becomes more than a mood. It becomes a template for what their life becomes. In this way, emotions act like invisible architects, drawing blueprints that the outer world follows. Even emotions that have faded still leave behind echoes. An emotional reaction from the past, if strong enough, can linger like a magnetic residue. These lingering charges quietly continue, pulling in experiences that match their tone, even if you're no longer consciously feeling them. This is why sometimes it feels like you're reacting to something stronger than the moment deserves. It's not the present alone that's creating the situation. It's the emotional trail that hasn't yet been cleared. Without realizing it, these echoes shape what comes next, not because of what's happening now, but because of what still vibrates emotionally from before. Logic and reasoning often seem like the tools we use to shape our lives, but when it comes to reality building, they take a back seat to emotional tone. You might understand a situation completely, analyze it correctly, or even have a clear plan. But if your emotional state contradicts that clarity, the emotion takes charge. Reality listens more to your emotional atmosphere than to your explanations. This is why you can make smart decisions and still find yourself in unwanted patterns, because the emotional magnet beneath the surface is stronger than the rational strategy in your mind. Emotions are not abstract or fleeting. They are currents. They run through your system and broadcast into your surroundings. When that current is steady and intentional, it has the power to shift entire landscapes of experience. But when it is scattered, heavy, or tied to old emotional charges, it continues shaping your environment according to those hidden currents. The emotional atmosphere you maintain does more than color your perception. It acts as a builder, magnetizing and pulling form into place around its core emotional tone. This is the true power emotions hold. They do not simply reflect your experience, they quietly and powerfully create it. Napatur, Chapter 5. Quantum feedback of the inner dialogue. The way you speak to yourself shapes the way reality responds to you. Your inner voice is more than just background noise. It's a stream of instructions constantly being sent into the quantum field. Every internal sentence, whether whispered in frustration or repeated silently out of habit, becomes part of a communication system that tells reality how to form itself around you. If you regularly think to yourself, "I never get things right," or "people don't take me seriously," those phrases don't stay in your mind. They act like codes, precise instructions that set up situations to match the tone of that internal script. The more you repeat something to yourself, the deeper that message gets written into the fabric of your experience. Thoughts that come up again and again are like keyboard commands typed into the operating system of life. Whether helpful or harmful, they don't just stay as thoughts. They get registered as patterns that reality begins to obey. The repetition turns them into loops that keep running, often outside your awareness. That's why even when circumstances change, your life might still reflect the same outcome, because the loop behind the scenes hasn't been paused or rewritten. Inside this loop, every phrase you say to yourself acts like a permission slip. If your inner dialogue consistently says things like, "That's not for me," or "I don't deserve that," you are not just expressing an opinion, you are issuing a command that limits what can enter your reality. The quantum layer of experience responds to what you approve or deny through your self-talk. This isn't about beliefs or emotions. This is about the structural language you use in your inner world. Your internal dialogue either allows things to happen or silently closes the door before they can appear. When that internal dialogue is harsh, critical, or self-diminishing, reality doesn't argue with it. It follows it. If you often call yourself stupid, unlucky, or invisible, then life reflects that exact treatment. The people you meet, the chances you miss, the outcomes that seem to slip away, they all align with the tone of how you speak to yourself. Reality reflects the treatment you've normalized inside your head. And just like a mirror doesn't correct your expression but reflects it, the outer world does not correct your self-talk, it echoes it. Small changes in this inner vocabulary can redirect entire life patterns. The shift doesn't need to be dramatic. It only needs to be precise. Like editing a line of code, replacing a single word can alter the response from the system. If the internal syntax becomes more aligned, balanced, and supportive, reality begins to follow that upgraded script. This internal dialogue is not symbolic, it's mechanical. It functions like a constant stream of instructions, shaping every interaction and every result. What you say to yourself, again and again, is exactly what life is learning to say back. Chapter 6. The law of reflection in action reality operates more like a mirror of internal logic than a response to wishes or feelings. At the core of your daily experience is a set of inner conclusions, your belief-based logic, that silently dictates how the world appears to you. These internal belief systems act like codes running in the background, forming a structured framework that reality cannot help but follow. They're not emotional reactions and they're not random thoughts. They are rooted, consistent statements you've accepted as true. And because they are treated as truth within you, life organizes itself around them. These beliefs act like anchors. They hold your world in place, not because they're morally right or factually accurate, but because they've been stamped into your internal logic system as this is how things work. For example, someone who holds the deep belief that nothing good lasts will unconsciously live inside that logic. They won't just fear disappointment. They'll structure their reality to mirror that exact outcome, not because life wants to cause harm, but because it follows the internal rule book being written within. Once a belief is accepted as a personal truth, it begins to activate specific experiences that match it. This isn't about attracting or manifesting. It's about alignment between internal logic and external form. If you hold the logic that opportunities always come through struggle, then no matter how open you are to success, it will continue arriving in difficult or draining ways. Not because it must, but because it's the only pattern that matches your existing logic system. Events line up with your inner framework, as if they're obeying a strict algorithm, one that you programmed through conclusions you've come to accept. This makes your personal reality surprisingly predictable. If you learn to observe the internal logic beneath your actions and assumptions, you can almost forecast what kind of situations will repeat. Reality doesn't operate randomly. It follows orders, not commands in the form of thoughts, but rules written into your internal conclusions. These are not visible to others, and often not even to you until you step back and notice how your life consistently reflects a certain kind of reasoning. That reasoning is not passive. It's a guiding force behind everything that shows up. One of the clearest ways to understand what you've been believing is to reverse engineer your experiences. When something happens repeatedly, ask what internal logic it fits. If you constantly face delay, scarcity, or rejection, what rule inside you makes that outcome seem normal or expected? This backtracking doesn't require emotion or memory. It simply requires tracking the logic behind the loop. It's like finding the original formula behind a repeated result. Once the belief logic is found, it becomes clear why life had no choice but to reflect it. It wasn't personal. It was programmed. Chapter 7. The Mirror Principle and Personal Evolution Life has a way of showing you exactly what you're outgrowing, even when you're not yet aware of it. The reflections that feel frustrating, painful, or outdated aren't evidence that you're stuck. They are evidence that you're reaching the end of a chapter. When the mirror keeps showing you versions of life that no longer feel right, it's because you've evolved internally beyond them, even if you haven't yet stepped into your next identity. The outer world doesn't resist your growth. It simply keeps showing you the pieces you're meant to release. What looks like struggle is often just the final signal that you're ready for more. The repetition of certain life patterns isn't a punishment. It's more like a guidepost pointing toward your next transformation. When you see the same types of people, events, or problems reappearing, it's not because you're cursed or broken. It's because there's still something in your current identity that fits that reflection. The loop continues only until you're ready to stop playing the role it was built for. Once your internal alignment shifts, the pattern collapses on its own. That repeated pattern becomes a kind of map, one that outlines the exact direction your growth needs to take. The real shift happens when you update your identity, when you stop seeing yourself through the lens of an older version of who you were. The mirror has no choice but to change its reflection. This doesn't come from pretending or forcing. It comes from embodying a different internal self-definition. If you once saw yourself as powerless, and you now see yourself as capable, the world responds accordingly. The mirror doesn't create, it reflects, and it always catches up to the identity you've stepped into with full presence. It's important not to fight what the mirror shows you. If you resist the reflection, you stay entangled with it. But if you observe it calmly and read it like a message, it becomes a powerful teacher. Every unwanted situation, every moment of discomfort is holding information about what needs to shift inside your sense of self. By decoding it, not reacting to it, you unlock the potential to transform the very reality that once held you back. The mirror isn't your enemy. It's a language made of symbols, events, and people, all designed to help you evolve. Personal evolution doesn't begin with external change. It begins by upgrading the system you're running internally, how you see yourself, what you identify as, and what roles you've accepted without question. When your identity shifts, your operating system changes. And when that happens, the mirror is forced to show you something new. Not because you begged it to, but because it always reflects the dominant signal of who you believe yourself to be now. Life evolves when you evolve, and it's always reflecting what you're just about ready to outgrow. Chapter 8. The Sovereign Creator and the Final Mirror Shift. True power begins the moment you claim full authorship of your reality. Not just in the good moments, but in all of them. The shift into sovereignty doesn't come from controlling the outer world. It comes from recognizing that nothing in it holds control over you. As long as you blame circumstances, people, or luck, you remain tied to a script written by something outside of you. But when you take absolute responsibility for what you experience, not as guilt, but as authorship, you step into a realm where the mirror no longer decides what shows up. You do. The mirror only reflects until you stop playing the role of the one being reflected. If you continue to identify as someone powerless, abandoned, unseen, or small, life has no choice but to reflect that. But once you walk out of that identity completely, without needing the mirror to agree or respond, the repetition ends. Victimhood is not a feeling. It's a mask that tells reality how to treat you. Remove it, and the cycle can't find you anymore. This isn't about denying pain or pretending. It's about no longer accepting that pain is your core identity. In the creator state, your voice begins to carry the force of origination. You no longer speak from reaction, trying to fix what's wrong. You speak as the origin point. This means you speak life, possibility, clarity, direction, without needing it to be approved or echoed back. This voice doesn't argue with the mirror. It builds beyond it. You become the architect of events, not the responder to them. Creation begins where reflection ends. When your words are not shaped by old wounds, but sourced from your original essence. When you reach the place of creating from wholeness, there is no need for external validation. You don't look for proof before you act. You don't ask life to give you permission to be powerful. You no longer wait to see if things will change. You begin change by embodying it first. In this state, reality isn't something you test. It's something you sculpt. You're not checking the mirror to see if you're worthy. You know you are. And from that knowing, new realities form, with you or without evidence. This is the final shift, the moment the mirror becomes a window and then dissolves entirely. You're no longer receiving feedback from past identities or unresolved loops. You're no longer rearranging the reflection. You're stepping out of the hall of mirrors completely. In this place, you are not the effect of reality. You are the cause. You don't wait to see the world change to feel different. You feel it first, declare it, and move as if it's already true. The mirror has done its job. Now you originate. Conclusion. Every chapter you've just explored reveals a hidden mechanism behind the mirror principle, each one like a key unlocking a deeper layer of how your reality reflects your inner world. From the invisible architecture of your thoughts to the echoes of your emotional energy, from subconscious codes to the final sovereign shift, each part shows that life doesn't respond to what you say or want, but to what you are. Reality isn't random, it's exact, it's intelligent. It's responding not to your words, but to your structure, your patterns, your emotions, your internal logic, and ultimately, your identity. You are the builder, the programmer, the transmitter, the observer, the reflector, and finally, the creator. When you understand this, you stop waiting for life to change and realize you are life changing itself. And this audiobook wasn't just knowledge. It was a mirror itself. If it resonated, it means something inside you is already shifting. So if this message reflected something deep within you, like this video, and life will start liking you back in ways that surprise you. If it sparked something powerful, share it, and you become a signal booster for others ready to wake up. And if you felt the truth behind every word, subscribe, because you're stepping into the 1% who don't just learn reality, they shape it.